Hey brother, this week I want to steer the Druthers Brothers train back towards something that we decided would be a really good idea when we started a YouTube channel. Criticizing others. Nah, just kidding. This week's video I want to do a review of a book that I just finished reading called Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. Ernest Cline? Ernie Cline? R.L. Stein? Ready Player One is a science fiction novel that takes place in the not-so-distant future. Set in a dystopic society ruined by global warming, overpopulation, poverty, the denizens of Ready Player One's world spend most of their time escaping their reality by immersing themselves in a virtual world known as the Oasis. Our protagonist, Wade Wilson, lives in these stacked trailer park homes and gets most of his food from government subsidies. It's super bleak, but in the Oasis, Wade is the egg hunter known as Parzival, where he spends most of his time digesting the entire amalgam of 80s pop culture in his quest to find Halliday's egg. James Halliday is the creator of the Oasis. When he dies, he leaves behind the ultimate Easter egg. At the end of his life, he becomes somewhat of a recluse, so he doesn't really have any friends or family to leave his fortune behind to, so whoever finds the Easter egg wins his multi-billion-dollar fortune and control of the Oasis. That would basically be like when Steve Jobs died, he left behind the perfect Easter egg in the iPhone, and if you found the Easter egg in the iPhone, you got to own all of Apple. Man, the Genius Bar would be so different. Everyone would wear turtlenecks at Apple. That's just how it would go. You'd have to wear a turtleneck, right? My first impression with Ready Player One was that it felt like it was written by a high schooler. And that isn't to say that it was written poorly, because it wasn't. It was written well. It's just that some of the vernacular that was used was a little too on the nose. A lack of subtlety in some of the passages made me feel like I was just being hit over the head with a lot of the themes. Okay, so what was good about it? So much was good about it. The story felt familiar and interesting, even though it was borrowing aspects from so many other things we've seen a million times. It felt fresh and it kept me engaged the entire novel. And the 80s pop culture references, they were so good. They reminded me of being a kid and playing Nintendo for the first time. There's a scene where Wade is going through the first dungeon, and watching him or listening to him get through this dungeon reminded me of being a kid with my friends playing Nintendo and trying to figure out, how to beat the water temple, or how to, with you, Cameron, how to get through the arena in Fable. There was just this beautiful sense of nostalgia throughout the entire novel that reminded me of being a kid with all of the things that I grew up with. I also love that there were actual stakes in this story. Cline does a really good job of building this concrete, flushed out world in the Oasis and then filling in the gaps with the real world that exists there too. And the whole time I'm learning about all of that, I'm finding out that there are actual perils both in the Oasis and in the real world. And I found myself wondering if all of the characters were going to survive, and sad when some of them didn't survive. Also, Ready Player One did a really great job of keeping pace. It didn't waste a lot of time on flowery imagery or descriptive passages like I was reading Night Circus or something like that. It just got down to the nuts and bolts of what was going to happen next in the story, and that made it so that I wanted to know what was happening. I was engaged the whole time. Sometimes you just want a book to be a series of events and you just want to be entertained the entire time, and I was engaged and entertained, and I cared about what was going to happen next every single moment. Cameron, what about you? I know you love audiobooks. You're not really much of a physical book kind of guy. What is it about audiobooks that appeals to you? Is it the performance themselves? Is it the accessibility of being able to listen to an audiobook wherever you are, not really worry about having to sit down and hold a novel? And what about you? Do you enjoy audiobooks? Have you read Player One? Do you have a different opinion about the book than I do? If you do, tell me about it in the comments below. Please, if you like what you're seeing here on Druthers Brothers, subscribe to our channel. And Cameron, I love you.